Hey everyone, Jeff Rosen here, back with your daily DLP. It is February. We have made it through January. It's still below zero where I am and where a lot of you are. And a special shout out to the fans in the mid-Atlantic who are suffering through a snow and ice storm. I lived there for a while. I know it's terrible, so my thoughts are out with you on that. Let's get into today's daily DLP. We are breaking down the mock draft that I did. I published it on Friday and was hoping to get this done a little bit earlier. I was under the weather. I would have had a Kleenex stuffed up my nose doing this Friday or Saturday. So we're getting to it today. I'm doing a little bit better. My voice is probably still a little funky, but some people like that. Who knows? I published it at Detroit Lions Podcast. It was Mock Draft 1.0, and it wraps up the Senior Bowl week. And I went through the projections, and a lot of you who have followed me for a long time understand that when I do mock drafts, I only do one per year where I tell you what I would do. The rest of the time, I am attempting to give my best guess as to what the Lions, and if it's a full mock draft, what all the teams might do in the given situations. In this early juncture, I do have some influence on the picks, but if it comes to a tiebreaker, like my personal preference will probably weigh out at a spot. But I'm not going to take guys that I don't think the Lions are interested in or would be interested in. And we'll learn a lot more about that in the next month as the combine fires up at the end of the month, and then pro days kick off. And I wind up getting a ton of information from going to all the pro days around the Midwest, seeing Lion scouts there and other media who are plugged in as well to the Lions and other teams. And that's when the mock drafts start to get a little bit more accurate. But this is just a basic guess for the first one. And we started off, my first round pick for the Lions is Caleb Lomu, offensive tackle, Utah Utes. We'll bring him up here. We will put him on the screen if I can. Maybe not. All right. There we go, Caleb Lomu. All right. He is fun tackle prospect. A little bit green, but has outstanding athleticism, moves well in space. I brought up the pros and cons here. For those of you who are doing the audio-only version of this one, this is one you probably want to watch on either YouTube or your favorite podcast app because we do have some visual aids with this one that help explain a little bit more. But Lomu is a guy that I do like quite a bit. Excellent footwork on the edge. One of the things that I really like, he never gets out-athleted. Guys who try to like round the corner and bend on him, doesn't really give that up. Really, really good at that. Has good length, and it does understand also if he's beaten initially, he's got enough quickness and reactionary athleticism to recover a little bit. That's something that if you watch Taylor Decker play left tackle for the Lions, he's not always that great at that. Like if he gets beat, he tries, but he just doesn't move as well as he used to, and especially with the shoulder injury now. And the shoulder injury to Decker and his potential retirement is one of the reasons why I chose offensive tackle in the first round. My general philosophy for this offseason is approach it like Taylor Decker is not going to be back. And if you wind up biting a year too early and he does come back and play, which would be my preferred solution, then you've got a guy who's a little bit more ready. And Lomu is a very good developmental prospect. Now, you got to look at the cons, though, and look at the bottom. He'll be 24. Yeah, that's a little bit older than you want for a prospect. That's almost as old as Penei Sewell, believe it or not. Crazy that Penei has been in the league that long. He's also, the biggest detriment is he doesn't move people in the run game. He's not blessed with a lot of especially lower body strength. Bull rushers can get into his pads. If they do, they can move him backwards and impact him that way. And he will give the occasional, pin pull. Like he can get beat in those, and that's that is a detriment. That's one of the reasons why he's not going in the top 10. despite having probably the best athleticism of any tackle in this class. And, I do like, so one of the things that comes up a lot is the two Utah tackles, him and Spencer Fano. I think Fano is better now. I think in 2 years, Lomu, especially if he can add like 8 to 10 pounds and get a little bit more functionally stronger, will be the better one, because he's played less football. And I like his upside. I like his mentality. I think he would fit in very well with the Lions. So he is the first round pick at number 17. Moving to the second round, and we've got a Senior Bowl star. We got to bring him up here. Who we got here? Derrick Moore. There we go. Michigan man, Michigan pass rusher, Derrick Moore. Outstanding Senior Bowl week. Showed that Michigan, I don't want to say underutilized him, but I think he showed that he has a higher ceiling than what people might have guessed if you just watched his Michigan tape. And his Michigan tape was pretty good. I have seen him play in person, I believe, 3 times. He was much more splash or invisible at Michigan. And I thought during Senior Bowl week, he showed he can make a more consistent impact across plays. Specifically, there was one rep where he played the run, and he was on the edge, and he bowled the the left tackle or the tight end, one or the other, into the hole, into the A gap, and stopped the run that way. That's not something he did a lot of at Michigan. That shows very nicely for the Lions, because he is a little bit smaller than what you want to see. He's only 260 pounds, 6'3". It's a little bit smaller than the Lions have liked in their crush the can philosophy, which I would love to see them get away from a little bit. I would love to see them bring in more speed. And that's what speed to power, man. That's Derrick Moore. He gets off the snap. He fires into the great hands, great initial hand placement. I love that in a pass rusher, especially a guy who can come from wide and get in and then work to the inside. And Moore can do that. So I like him. There's been some pushback that he would be available at 50. My counter was going into Senior Bowl week. I don't think he was going to be even a third round player, but probably in the 90 to 120 range going into the week. And I just don't know if he's going to move up more than 25 to 50 spots in the draft pantheon. We'll see. Again, it's still early. Athletic testing will probably bump him up a little bit more, but I don't see him going as a first rounder. I just don't. Not that he's not necessarily worthy of it, but I like Derrick Moore a lot. Biggest detriments to Derrick Moore, again, you would watch Michigan games and there would be like 4 or 5 series where like, was Moore playing? Was he in the game? And that especially happened against the higher level competition, specifically good offensive tackles that had some athleticism. They gave him a little more trouble. He feasted on bad ones, which is what you need to do. And also, he's not the bendiest guy. If you've been to Lions training camp or watched preseason the last couple of years, Mitchell Agude is now Moore is higher end, absolutely. But stylistically and in terms of how they can bend around a tackle, they're similar. They need to really get that lower shoulder, the inside shoulder, dipped and cleared a little bit better because they can't flatten their tack to the quarterback, especially if the quarterback is stepping up. This is one I like him because he's a guy that can play opposite Hutchinson very well. I think the fact that he sees the ball, he can get off blocks sometimes, does have some upside against the run, but especially in the pass game, he does stay blocked if the guy gets on him. He needs a little bit more work with his hands and getting off. But Derrick Moore, second round pick, number 50 overall. We will zap him off. Third round was tough. I'll be honest with you because there was a number of different ways I could have gone. I'm sorry, fourth round. They don't have a third round pick. It's Isaac Tisla, both of them. I expect big things from Isaac, by the way. And this is the range where Brad Holmes likes to take guys like Isaac Tisla and Giovanni Manu and Broderick Martin and Kirby Joseph, guys who aren't necessarily super high rated, but have real athletic upside. And that, my friends, is John Michael Gyllenhaal, tight end. Let me pull him up here. Tight end from the University of Wyoming. This is a guy. sound like I'm doing college football there. Yeah, 6 foot, 6'5", very athletic. He's been laser timed at 21.6 miles per hour. Great seam stretching speed, and he can get open. He's worked on his route running. Has some upside, is coming from a Wyoming program that didn't throw the ball particularly well and really didn't look for the tight end all that well. So he's got some limited experience. On top of that, dude played 3 high school football games in his life. Didn't play, he was a basketball player. Pretty good one, too, from what I understand. So he is later in coming to football, which means that there are still things that he's learning. The route running, blocking is the big thing. He's going to be a slot tight end, a move tight end. He is not going to be an inline tight end, at least right away. The blocking just isn't there. There are reps where he's acceptable, but he's not going to be a guy that you want in, and you're not going to run behind John Michael Gyllenborg. You're just not, at least not early on. Other big thing, and if you watch the Senior Bowl, which took place yesterday, he had a play, and it's actually quite emblematic of how the Lions would use him. Exploded out of the slot, got to the hole between the middle linebacker and the safety, was wide open. The throw was a little high, and it went right through his hands and got picked off. Does have some drops. I believe he had 5 last year on 35 targets. That's pretty dang high. I'm sorry, 42 targets. Still pretty high. He does catch the ball well in traffic, though, which I would like to see. But there is upside here. And again, this is the range where Brad Holmes is going to take that guy. He's probably, like, if the Lions don't take him here, or the tight, because it is a fairly deep tight end class. It's weirdly middle level tight end class. After Kenyon Sadiq, there's a lot of dudes that are going to be in the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th round range. Gyllenborg. I don't know why I'm saying Gyllenhaal. Gyllenborg fits in the middle/lower middle end of that range in terms of what he is right now. But in terms of upside, he's near the top of that. And this is, again, where Brad Holmes likes that type of player. So John Michael Gyllenborg, the tight end from Wyoming, was the 4th round pick. I like him. Probably wouldn't be the guy that I would take there, but I wouldn't be opposed to him either. At this point, it's where I remind you to like and subscribe so you know when these things are coming. We are hopefully getting back on a more regular schedule in the coming few weeks, but the haphazardness of being a sports parent and being ill has thrown it off a little bit. So sometimes you just need to know, and that you can do that. 5th round pick, Bud Clark, safety, TCU. I will just interject right away. I would absolutely make this pick. I like Bud Clark a lot. He is a ball hawking safety. He reminds me a lot of Kirby Joseph when Kirby Joseph was coming out of Illinois, in that he is a coverage-oriented safety who doesn't really know how to tackle. He's a diver. He's a hitter, but he's not a rapper. He's not a guy who sinks his weight. Kind of dives at feet a little bit too much. 15. That's right. 15 interceptions in college. Let me pull up his screen here, if I can. Really like what Bud Clark offered for TCU. 5-year player, 6-year collegiate, actually, 4-year player. Special teams, ridiculous accomplishments on special teams. Team captain 2 years in a row for TCU. Solid program. Understands himself. He's a father. He has that maturity to him. Was once a decent high school basketball player and track athlete as well. look at those first pros. High level coverage instincts. That is not me. Like if you ask anybody about Bud Clark, who's a draftnik, ask Dane Brugler, ask Eric Edholm, ask Lance Zierlein. That's first thing you're going to hear about Bud Clark all the time. Dude has great instincts in coverage, both man and zone. The TCU played him more in the box. I actually see him as being more of a single high guy or a slot. Again, a la Kirby Joseph. Because of the tackling, because of the fact that he does also take some risks, especially when he's closer to the line. And that is the biggest detriment right now, aside from the tackling. And I believe he had a missed tackle rate of around 16%, which is pretty high. He will get baited. Savvy quarterbacks can look him off, and he will try to jump the slant, and the sluggo kills him. Or he will, misread a screen, get sucked way outside, and then it's a tunnel screen on the inside, or the quarterback will run. He's got work to do there. And that's one of the reasons why, even though he has incredible ball skills, he's probably going to be available in this range. But again, for the Lions, you're hoping that Kirby Joseph comes back. But this guy can play that role and hopefully improve in the way that Kirby has improved once he got to the NFL. I like him a lot. The other thing is he did play 6 years of college. We don't know his age, but if you're a high school class of 2020, it's 2026. You're at least 23, probably 24. So again, much like with Lomu, he's a little bit older than you tend to want. But just to close it out, the last guys I have here, 6th round, Burton. Jagger Burton. I said it wrong. Owen Reese, who did a fantastic job with our Shrine Bowl wrap, corrected me on that. And by the way, check that one out. It's a good one. Owen with great information on the offensive lineman. Jagger Burton, a Russ Brown fave, center from Kentucky. He is indeed a center. He is an ass kicker, pure and simple. Great inline player. He is much more polished and aggressive in the run game than what Graham Glasgow has been at center. Obviously, he's not Frank Ragnow. But if you're looking for, he's better than Evan Brown was at about the same. Burton's a little bit bigger than Evan Brown, moves a little bit better, but this is a guy, you're bringing him in. He can compete to start as your center right away. Lots of experience. I believe he played 47 games. Does have experience also starting at both guard spots. So when you've got Tate Ratledge, who can play guard and is learning center, you've got Miles Frazier, who can play tackle, guard, perhaps center. You've got some options there. And that can be a double-edged sword because you might be experimenting and tinkering with these guys a lot, and it doesn't let them get into a groove at any one position, and that's a very real fear. I trust in offensive line coach Hank Fraley and the rest of the offensive staff that they will figure that out and sort it out and put the people in the best position that they can be. So Jagger Burton is the 6th round pick from Kentucky. Other 6th round pick, this is the one that they acquired from the Jaguars. Sierra Wright. You might remember him from being in Space Jam. Yeah, that's him. Defensive back, Nebraska. And I say defensive back even though he played corner primarily throughout his college career. I think he's a hybrid safety. This is your Avonte Maddox replacement, folks. That's what he would be. He can play in the slot. He can play some free safety. You probably don't want him being in the slot often, but he can do it. Outside corner, he can also do that. So there's a lot of flexibility with him. Good player that has, again, maturity. Child actor, has been in a lot of things. Did have 10 pass deflections and 3 interceptions over the last 2 seasons. And here's the big one, though. Special teams. If you're watching this show and you follow the Lions, day 3 picks, you've got to be good on special teams. 2-time special teams captain at Nebraska. Very energetic. He can be your gunner. There's a lot to like about him in this range. As far as like coverage, he's probably a sub-package player. Also get that with the next player that we take, which is the projected comp pick. And by the way, there's a lot of people who have said that there's a projected 4th-round compensatory pick. I don't deal in that formula world of what it is. I went straight off Tankathon. My order came straight from the Tankathon, which is a very good resource. They have the Lions as a projected 6th-round comp pick, and that pick is Xavier Ngwampa from Iowa, a safety, and this is another one. He is a role player. He is a boxed safety only. He is almost like an extra linebacker, downhill attack dog, really good against screens and quick slants and things like that. If the receiver gets behind him, he might never know that he's there. That's just where he is, but this is another guy at 210 pounds, really, really good athlete, very good asset on special teams. Sort of like Dan Jackson from a year ago. He's a little bit more athletic than Dan Jackson is. And again, the safety depth chart right now in Detroit, Brian Branch, who's out with an Achilles to start the season, Kirby Joseph, who has a knee issue that is certainly questioning his long-term future, and Dan Jackson. Like, that's it. That's the safety room. Thomas Harper as well. I like Thomas Harper as your number 3 safety. I think he can be your number 2, but I don't want him as your number 1. Get some options in between Bud Clark and Kwampa. You've got some options. And again, special teams is an asset there, especially if they lose a guy like Grant Stewart or Trevor Nowatzki, who are linebackers, but they play primarily on special teams. If you lose one or both of those guys in free agency, you've got to restock that deck. So then the last one, and this may or may not be why I'm wearing an Ohio Bobcat hat. Go Bobcats, my alma mater. Because this guy played at our enemy. I'm not sure that, especially if you're in Michigan, you appreciate Ohio and Miami of Ohio. We freaking hate each other. It is every bit as bitter of a rivalry as Michigan State, or if you're over here on my side of the state, Hope and Calvin, Miami. And we do not like that team from the west side of the state. But Jackson Kuwach, linebacker, Ohio State transfer, couldn't get on the field at Ohio State for a few years. Didn't really do a lot actually at Miami either, but his last year, holy crap, he's everywhere. Range, my goodness. He's 6'5", 230 pounds, very good in coverage. Was outstanding at the Shrine Bowl. Had a couple of very athletic interceptions. One of them where he almost made like the Odell Beckham Jr. catch, except he landed on his feet. Was up here, stabbed it with one hand, brought it down. Has pass rush ability as well. This is a hybrid Sam type backer. You can play him as a poor man's Derrick Barnes. And I think he's much more fluid in space than Barnes is. Barnes is a little bit stiffer. Not that Barnes is stiff, but he's stiffer than Kuwach. This is one of those day 3 gems that's either going to like, it's a guy that if the 49ers took him, with their luck with these guys and their track record of developing late round linebackers, they're very, very good at it. He goes there, might be a Pro Bowler in 3 years. If he goes to the Raiders or the Jets, might be a practice squad guy who's a rookie and then out of the league. Like that's sort of the range for him. Again, it's tough for me to say it. I like the Miami Red Hawk product for what the Lions need as a developmental style linebacker who does have a lot of athletic upside and promise. That's the first round, the first mock draft that I did. You can check it out at the Detroit Lions podcast. It's up on all my socials as well. And you know what we're going to call it? We're going to wrap it with that. Be good to one another out there, folks. Go Lions.